You're a powerful person, you can't play victim. You know, victim has to go out the door. So sometimes when you read negative things, it's like you feel sorry for yourself, and there's no room in life to feel sorry for yourself. It's just like, yo, let's go. When you're a
Threats are best at creating bonds, because when you're a threat, people are only friends because they both don't like you. That's how a lot of women operate. That is how they build bonds and connections, is by the dislike of another woman. And that stuff that is never last. So the reason why Cardi B is not really getting the numbers, the streams, is because you don't have supporters. You have people who don't like another person. And they're siding with you because they don't like other. But it's not because they actually like your art. The goal is to have people around you who like you, not like you because they don't like other. Now, threats, what also makes somebody threatening is because of how much they put into the works of their hands. Whether you're an entertainer, whether you're an influencer, whether you're a nurse, whether you're a doctor, lawyer, administrator, when you work, you put your all into your work. You can see the passion in your work, because people who are threats are usually very lonely because of the constant rejection. They experience a lot of rejection because their essence and aura alone is a trigger for people. So threats usually put all of their time into some type of craft, into some type of art, into their work, because they don't have a lot of people close to them, because you have to be very confident to be around the threat. So the threat isn't really bombarded with connections. So they connect to the work of their hands. So the reason why I choose Nicki Minaj for threat politics is because I remember when she was having that back and forth with Cardi, which is what a lot of threats will experience. You're going to have a lot of back and forth with other people that find you threatening. And she said, do you know what it feels like to be in your room up all night writing raps? And again, this is not a jab at Cardi B. I'm using the situation between the two of these people to make a point. Now, I don't create parasocial relationships. Many women are notorious for creating. I see the emails that I get sent, the threats from women who don't know me. I don't create parasocial bonds with people I don't know. That's very weird. Okay? I don't know any of these women. But I am a fan of Nicki and her craft and her work. I always have high regard and respect for women who push themselves. Okay? Not women who are corner cutting. Okay? The threat's work will always appear superior to everybody around them because of how much passion, time, effort, and they put their pain into their work. They alchemize and transmute everything, right? This is why I tell women to not corner cut. Because when you're corner cutting, it's not going to be sustainable. That's why a lot of times when you guys are sending me this person, that person, this person copied you here, this person replicated you here, this person's throwing shade at you here, I don't care, because they won't be sustainable. 5 years from now, we'll see the difference in the progress. Because I know when I work, I put my all into it. And nobody's going to get in my way, especially not women. I don't allow women to get in my way. I don't allow their antics and their drama and all the nonsense they start distract me from what I need to do. So regardless of who's cutting corners, replicating, duplicating, lying, spreading rumors, doxing, 5 years from now, we will see who was working, putting their foot on the gas and pressing, and who was wasting time involving themselves in stupid BS. We will see the difference. The issue here, or what I'm trying to get you guys to understand, is when you're the threat, the works of your hands is always going to be superior, because you don't really have anything left. You don't have many allies. You don't have many supporters. You don't have anybody pushing you. A lot of you guys who are threats, you don't have a family that you can rely on to give you a high five. You don't have a mom to tell you she loves you. You don't have a dad to tell you they're proud of you. You don't have that. So therefore, when you work, you put your all into it. Now, how does this relate to Nicki and Cardi? I'm going to tell you. Regardless of Cardi B having different talents, I personally think Cardi B is wonderful for TV. She's a natural. The camera loves her. She's funny. I see her having a talk show, right? And that's what I see. Her having a talk show. She's funny. I would be tuned in every day because Cardi B is a personality. And that is her gift. She is able to be relatable. She makes people feel comfortable. She brings fun and excitement to every space she walks into. She's hilarious. Let's not forget that Cardi B really got popular off of her personality on Instagram and TikTok. Way before she started rapping. That's where I remember Cardi B from in 2014, 2015. But the problem here is, just like the situation with J-Lo, when you are riding the wave of a hate train on another woman, women always fall into this trap because women have this spirit of jealousy, comparison, and competition. Women have those spirits that affect them. So when there's a hate train on another woman that you feel like is a threat, you hop on the train, right? Not understanding that you can't match her hustle on a slow day. So essentially what's happening is the people that are supporting you and that are backing you up are only backing you up because they don't like the threat. You don't have real supporters. You don't have people that are actually supporting your work. You have people that don't like another person. So in your mind, you would not ride the hate train because you're like, I want to build a solidified fan base. I don't want to build a fan base or a support based on people liking me because they don't like another person. That is not going to be sustainable. I want to build a fan base of people who love me because they see me and my art and they like it. But because a lot of women have these competitive and jealous ways, when these things happen, they feed into it and they end up losing in the process. When you put a project out, that is time for your fans to show up and show out for you. Your real fans. I'm not saying Cardi B doesn't have real fans, but majority of the people that support her are only doing it because they don't like Nicki. A lot of women fall into this trap. You befriend a girl or a woman is befriending you and you're not aware that she's only befriending you because she doesn't like a certain woman and she wants to create a cahoot with you. I don't build bonds based off enemies. And that's why I really don't have any girlfriends, if I'm being honest, because a lot of the foundations of their friendships, it's very shallow and it's a waste of my time. You know, we're not going to sit here on a table and discuss some random woman and go into her life. I don't have time for that. I'm building things. But a lot of people, a lot of women, that is the foundation of their connections, is a dislike for another woman. The ability to sit and talk about how miserable their lives are without making any changes, or male-centeredness. None of that will be sustainable. Nicki's career is sustainable because she puts her heart, soul, and sweat into what she does, and she has her own craft, and she writes her own raps. So therefore, she has a foundation, a solid foundation. That's why I always tell women, stop corner cutting. Stop trying to find the easy way into things. That's why even when it came to, selecting and picking people and for mentees and just for people to be connected to me in general in my day-to-day life, I like to align myself with women who are not interested in cutting corners. They're not interested in a baby seat in a bib. They literally are like, I will do whatever it takes. I don't care how much I have to stretch myself. Whatever it takes for me to get to the next level, I'm willing to do it. But when you are a woman and you're cutting corners and you're taking shortcuts and people are pushing you ahead out of the dislike of another person, your career will not be sustainable. A good example of this is J-Lo. Ashanti was J-Lo's threat. Ashanti was the threat. And allegedly, Ashanti was the one singing the songs that you thought J-Lo was singing. But again, when you're cutting corners to get your way, your career is going to end quicker than the person that is doing it by their own strength. right? So when you see women cutting corners, lying, scheming, duplicating, replicating, they're not going to be sustainable. Over time, they're going to drown. Your path is different. Your path is different, my dear. Your path is different. They're non-threatening. They're not triggering anyone's egos. They're not making anybody feel some type of way. So that's their path. That's their life. I'm sure they have their own challenges, but you're threatening, my dear. That's why you're getting pushback. That's why threats have to be strong. Because in the politics, threat politics, and the politics of being a threat, the reality is more people are looking to see you fall. You don't have many allies. Well, you don't have friends. You mainly have allies because of what you represent. And anytime I talk about threatening or threats, I love bringing up Nicki Minaj. She's my favorite person to use for these kind of subjects because she is the definition of an industry threat. When you think about it, nobody goes harder at other artists the way they go after this woman. No, but it's been 2 decades and they're still trying. That's why threats have to have a very strong mindset. You have to have the people that are in your corner, your friends, your family, they really have to cover you in prayer and affirmation and positive energy. And they have to really cover you with prayer and loyalty. Because the threats experience it's a lot of turmoil. It's a hasty situation. And if you're a threat listening, male or female, you got to saddle up for that. You do. You're that guy. That's just what it is. And that's what it'll always be. And there are some women you're a threat to. So here's the thing. Threats get treated in a particular... There's a system created specifically for threats. That's why when I meet a woman who's threatening, I get excited because it's like, wow, like now you found an ally. When you're a threat and you encounter other people who are considered threats, you have an ally because they understand you. People who are not threats won't really understand the politics behind it. Now, threat politics. Let's talk about it. When you're somebody who's deemed a threat, it's an invisible, massive takedown agenda in regards to you that you may not even be aware of because of your spirit, your aura, and your essence. And of course, I have Nicki Minaj as the thumbnail, and I have her as the slideshow. You don't have to like Nicki Minaj to understand this concept of threat politics, but she is considered a threat in her lane. So I wanted to have her up there. And again, it takes a certain type of woman to like Nicki Minaj, to understand her lyrics and the soul in her music. You have to be a person who is always the threat to be able to relate to her on a deeper level. When you're a threat, the politics is going to usually consist of your demise. Your talent, your gift, your aura, your essence is going to be considered a problem for most people. I'll take myself as an example. The way in my life, y'all, that I have had people conspire against me. We would be here all day if I had to explain to you how that happened. And I'm lollygagging. I don't think I'm threatening. I'm just doing my best. I'm putting my best foot forward. Right? But when it comes to threat politics, everybody can put their best foot forward. But when a threat puts their best foot forward, they're declaring war. That's how people see it. Everybody else can put their best foot forward and push themselves and break barriers, but not the threat. You put your best foot forward, you're declaring war on the egos of everybody that is around you. remember I was having a conversation with somebody very close to me the other day. We were just talking. And I said, people were so mean to me. I remember when I was a child, people were nasty to me. Mean to me. For no reason. And she said, well, baby, how were they mean to you? I'm like, if I tell you that, we'll be here all day. But I didn't know as a child that the essence of being a threat, even when you're a child, people still feel it. You know, adults will bully you and you're a kid. And it's like when you're young, you don't understand that, you know. You feel the pain, but you don't understand why. But that's threat politics. The threat must be dismantled. Now, in the situation with Nicki Minaj, like I've said before, they have been trying to take this woman down for decades. I just don't understand. What's the obsession? What's the obsession with this woman? I don't think anybody has more of an obsession with her than the end. It's so weird to me. Everybody else can just live their lives, but not Nicki. And that's why I said that you have to be a certain type of woman to understand Nicki. Because if you're the type of person where everybody can live but not you, then you'll understand her. Everybody can hit a goal, not you. Everybody can be happy, not you. It's always somebody that is trying to get in the way of your happiness. If you're that kind of person, you will like Nicki Minaj and you will understand her. Threat politics. Threat politics. Threat politics. Threat politics. When you're a threat, you have to understand that you don't have many allies. Okay? You don't really have what's called an ally. That's why I've also noticed Nicki Minaj doesn't really have industry friends like that. She doesn't really have industry friends. I mean, she's friends with Brooke Bailey, right? She's friends with Brooke Bailey, but, you know, she doesn't really have industry friends because when you're a threat, you don't really have allies. You know, you don't really have that. You have more of maybe bridges. You know, people are like bridges, but you don't have much allies when you're the threat. And when you're a threat, people will be very mean to you. Okay, well, you know what? Pause. Pause. Threats are best at creating bonds. Because when you're a threat, people are only friends because they both don't like you. I saw this with the whole Cardi B situation. I think majority of the people who like Cardi B don't like her. They just don't like Nicki. And this is how... That's the thing. This is how women get down. The psychology of women is so black and white. Like, women are the most predictable. With men, you'll have a couple curveballs, but women are so predictable. It's not even their traits, everything about them is so by the book. It's scary. And I'm a woman saying that. So imagine how much men know about women. That's why women are always losing when it comes to men, because women are so predictable. Their behaviors, their tactics, everything that they do is by the book. And men know this. That's why men can manipulate them. Cardi B may have a couple of fans and supporters, but many people that support Cardi B support her because they don't like Nicki Minaj. That is their means for supporting her. Women only usually will connect themselves to women they don't care for if she is the competitor of the woman that she doesn't like. I remember I had a woman send me an email, and I responded to it a couple weeks after. It wasn't an email about an order or anything serious, but I responded a couple of weeks after, and this person responded, and this person said, she said, "Oh, forget about it. I don't need your email response. And I follow you know who, by the way. And, stop talking bad about your supporters," or something like that, because you're so weird. Like, that email alone tells me that you don't even support that person, because if you did, you would just tell me, "I'm not interested." But you had to prove a point. But this is how a lot of women operate. That is how they build bonds and connections, is by the dislike of another woman. And that stuff that is never last. So the reason why Cardi B is not really getting the numbers, the streams, is because you don't have supporters. You have people who don't like another person. And they're siding with you because they don't like other, but it's not because they actually like your art. The goal is to have people around you who like you, not like you because they don't like other. I always say you will know who the real top dog is when it comes to support. That's when you'll know. When somebody drops a project, that's when fans show up and show out. Because the numbers don't lie. But when your support is built off people who don't like another person, and you ride that wave not knowing it's going to bite you later. It's going to bite you later. Because talent and giftings and consistency will always trump cosplaying.